cities and unincorporated areas of San Diego County. But now that we're on the internet, we have expanded and our reach and readership is worldwide. We have 100 and some countries that follow us on social media. And we are in our major cities. San Diego, California stands out. But when we get beyond our San Diego or California, it's interesting that places like Norway and Pakistan and the UK, those are places that have extremely large numbers of followers of our newspaper and probably the program. GOD Radio 1 is worldwide as well, so the UK, Canada, Mexico, people all over are listening to us. And we are very fortunate right now for those listening. Our hearts and sympathy to the ones of you that are in the cold weather. We got up to 70 degrees here today. And so we know that that's torturous for you to hear when some of you are at 17 below zero in terms of freezing weather. But I think there's a lesson in that because what I see, especially in terms of the people of Minnesota, is I see people coming out in spite of the fact that it's snowing, in spite of the fact that it's cold. They're not going to let weather conditions keep them from protesting against the atrocities that are going on in the country today. And I did an editorial this week that suggests that San Diego could learn from that because so many of us, all the sky has to do is get cloudy and we start retreating. And we won't come out and participate in anything, and we got to overcome that. So this evening we're going to be having a discussion initially with concerning black deported veterans. And so we know that a number of people who have served our country without citizenship are often deported from the country. A lot of that is happening with people out of the Philippines, and we see that. And it's interesting because there's been a long raging discussion about how can we allow people and require people to serve and then withhold citizenship from them. And I remember many decades ago when I was in the Army going through training, there were some brothers who had been drafted from Puerto Rico, and they didn't have a vote. And I remember one very difficult moment we were going through gas chamber training, and nobody explained to this young man when he was to put on his mask. And so he's put in this room with all of us just following the group, and then the gas comes and he doesn't know what's going on or which way to turn, and some of us are trying to help him so he can get his gas mask on because he just has no idea. And so we didn't care about citizenship. And here in San Diego, I've seen a situation where some years ago, a young Filipino sailor brought his wife here, and he was making application for citizenship. And there was an accident, and he was killed accidentally. And the government immediately rushed to try and deport the wife. And there was such an outrage that they could come here, that he could give his life, and that would be our response, that people have to back off of that. And so I salute our guests this evening as they're coming to talk to us briefly about this issue, because we already see a lot in the media about the organization of Latino brothers who were deported. Organization that sprung up, many were sent back over to Tijuana. They never even lived there or had any knowledge of it, but a couple got back here and got their applications, and one guy in particular is now working with a counterpart across the border to try and help get citizenship for people. And so, Brother Dave, we want to let you all identify yourselves to our audiences. We're having some technical difficulties tonight, and so others might be joining us as we go forward. But we want to get started. So, Dr. Thompson, Dr. Thompson here is our co-host and our guest, and he's making it all come together. And this is what we do. We try to give to the community. This is an open mic experience we're having tonight. If you want to call in, you can call 858-251-6111. and or you can go to godradio1.com and you can put a comment or a question in the chat, and we will pick it up and we will add it to the discussion. So go right ahead, please. Tell people who you are and why we're here and what we're trying to get done.
Okay. Thank you very much for having us. God bless you. My name is James L. Smith II. I'm the director for Black Deported Veterans of America.
Okay. Brother Barrios?
Uh, Thank you very much, Dr. Warren, Dr. Thompson, for hosting us. My name is David Barrio, and I'm a formerly deported U.S. veteran.
Okay. Well, that's an important statement that you're a formerly deported veteran. So tell us about how you all came about doing all of this, because people are interested.
As a student at San Diego City College in 2013, one of the assignments I had for a video magazine was to do a story on do a story on Americans that had chosen to move to TJ and were in a specific area. And while I was doing the research, I came across Lieutenant Colonel Applegate's message board. I don't think they have too much of those anymore, but it was a message board, and I saw the two words, deported veterans. Now, this is God radio, so I'm not going to say what the words that came to.
Well, to help people, as I recall, Applegate was a Marine colonel.
Mhm.
Okay, and so he was quite popular. At one point, I believe he even tried to run for office.
Yes.
And from North County, and they didn't get it together, so it didn't work.
That's correct.
Okay,
That's
but I
correct.
know who Applegate is. All right.
So I chose to, I went back to my publisher and said, hey, listen, I think I got a better story.
Popular at one point, I believe he.
A better story. And her understanding that I'm a veteran, she said, go ahead and go for it. Veterans for Peace is an national organization that would have demonstrations on our campus. And I went to them. They were the closest veteran organization for me to reach out to, and I went to them, Mr. Jan Ruman and Maurice Martin, and asked them, did they know anything about deported veterans? And ironically, they were the ones that first connected to those people down in TJ.
Okay.
And so that's how I was introduced to the deported veteran issue. I continued to cover people coming back, documenting them coming back, and had decided to work on.
So how many are we talking about?
Well-
Give people some number here.
Well, the problem, I was going to get into that later on. The problem is at that time it was just 2 or 3.
Okay.
They were trickling back. It was like one, maybe every other year and stuff. It was very hard to get back during that time period. Still is, but in 2021, the Biden administration started a program called IMVI, the Immigrant Military Members and Veterans Initiative. And through that, over 160 people, including family members, were able to come back on a humanitarian parole. David was one of the first few that came back.
Well, Brother David, so how many people were where you were in terms of you got back, but how many did you leave behind in terms of this whole situation?
Me being a formerly deported U.S. veteran from Kenya, I didn't know that there were other deported veterans because I was way out there across the ocean.
Did they send you back to Kenya?
Yes, they did.
Okay. So you were fortunate, because now they're sending people wherever they want to, but at least you went back home, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
At the beginning, yes, it was, family received me, welcome back home. But, things change with time. People start questioning, why are you back? You served the U.S. Army. What's the problem? So the questions, the lingering questions, and having difficulty settling down became a problem. So it's never easy.
So did you get in touch with the U.S. Embassy as a result of that? How did you get connected to come back and get in the program?
Oh, that came later on. As in social media back in the day, I got deported in 2008. So social media was not that
So how many years was it between when you were deported and when you came back?
14 years.
14 years?
Yes.
Wow. And so what did you do during those 14 years?
Uh, Trying to survive, work. Um, I was fortunate enough to have family, when I was back home. But that became a challenge too, trying to support the family, jumping from one job to another. It wasn't easy. And trying to explain why you have a gap on your resume. See, you have all this military experience. You're going back to a country that
So
would.
what was your MOS in the military? What did you do?
I was 92 Alpha, logistics
Okay.
in the Army. That was 2 years in the Army. And then I served 6 years in the Air Force Reserve, which I was a surgical tech and optometry tech,
Okay.
respectively.
So those were key positions, not like they had you there just to be a truck driver or something.
Exactly. And, when social media picked up and I was reading about all these issues with the U.S. trying to get people in the medical field, that was one of the questions I asked. I think I posted something on my social media like, "Hey, you deported me, and I was a surgical tech, and the government is eagerly looking for people in the medical field." That was actually the time when COVID was at the high, at the peak.
Okay.
So they were looking for nurses. They were looking at all kinds of positions, people to work in hospitals.
So that kind of helped get you back.
Um, Not exactly, but that was one of the questions I was asking. I had all those skill sets,
Okay.
but they didn't consider that.
So in the process, what wound up happening was he found Hector Barajas, the guy you're talking about that was on the other side, that had opened up a deported veteran support house. And he had
Right.
reached out to Hector, and Hector told him to survive and hold on. One of the things that is different, and I marvel at what he did, is our brothers and sisters that are south of the border, they did it together. They had a group of them. They were able to stay at a house, so these veterans were all doing it together. They weren't
Okay.
there. Whereas our brothers and sisters that are across the water, they're doing it alone. And so in his case, he did the 14 years alone. He didn't
Kenya.
in Kenya. And being God bless him, being a Christian, that was a hard thing for him also in a Muslim-run country.
Definitely.
Yeah, being a diverse country where you have all kinds of religion, it was kind of difficult. And knowing that 1998, the U.S. Embassy bomb blast that happened,
Right.
that was in Kenya.
Right.
So having all those situations and knowing that they don't like, military members, U.S. military members, and me being a veteran made me
That wasn't
kind of,
helpful.
it wasn't helpful.
Right.
Right.
So fast forward to 2021, I'm working on the documentary, and I'm writing with Jesus Manuel Valenzuela, who's one of our iconic members that started the movement. And David already knew him, and I was posting on Facebook, and David reached out and became a friend of mine on Facebook. So
Okay.
now David became the second black veteran that I knew that had been deported. The first one that I'd heard about was Rohan Coombs from Jamaica
Right.
and stuff. But for me, I still hadn't seen the scope of blacks being deported. I thought those were just outliers.
So about how many blacks have been deported?
Well, we've at least had at least 40 come through our that we were being able to get in contact with, or they were able to get in contact with us.
Did they have particular countries of origin, or more from
I-
Jamaica or Kenya?
Well, there's a lot from Jamaica, Haiti, Belize, Dominican Republic, and then there's spread out all over Africa: Uganda, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Ethiopia. They're all in different spots, but most of those there are, again, by themselves. They just, if they're lucky enough to find out that we exist, then they reach out to us. But in most cases, they don't. In fact, the government told us, the State Department told us that the only way they know of who's been deported is when we bring them to them. They don't know. they're not doing actively out looking or going out looking for them.
So the government doesn't keep a record of the status of people deported or what they were doing.
No,
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, there was a GAO report that covered from 2013 to 2018 where they saw that ICE had abandoned its policy that they were supposed to track military members as they went through.
Yeah.
So it's a practice that ICE chose not to do.
Of course. Dr. Thompson, did you?
Oh, one of the things is how can in this season, what type of help or support that you need?
Mostly what we need is at this point is legal help. We were part of a coalition. Well, actually, we're still part of the coalition, but it's not as strong as it used to be. Where there were attorneys from all across the country that were donating their time pro bono to do these cases. But when the new administration came in and threatened, their funding, then a lot of them had to back off, and so they became localized. So that's one of the main things that we need right now is legal help to look at each one of these people's cases and see how we can diagnose it and move it forward. That as far as from the people or from the there. Otherwise, we need Congress to stop playing with these people's lives, playing with our lives, and because this issue has been brought up over and over, at least I know since 2009 from different congressional members. And currently there are 5 bills that have been introduced on this issue in this Congress. So by Senator Duckworth, Mr. Takano, and a couple of others. So we need people to learn about this issue and recognize that veterans are being deported, that black veterans are being deported, that black people are being deported. I come from Detroit, Michigan. And until I came into the Marine Corps, the idea of immigration and stuff was just something I saw on Sanford and Son when Chico would come on there, or Chico and the Man, or in the movie Which Way Is Up with Richard Pryor. That was my introduction and all I knew until I got into the Marine Corps and started, because I never met anyone from the Latino community. Where I lived at. So it was something to learn, and then it began to be an imprint that when immigration came up, I thought Mexican. They just coalesced with me. So when I found out about Rohan Coombs, and then I found out about David, and then other ones started coming in. David told me about people he knew, and then it was a chain reaction. Then in January of 2022, we decided to start Black Deported Veterans of America, so that the brothers and sisters that have been being overlooked, even though this whole thing was being overlooked, we were especially being overlooked in the process. People were recognizing we were there, but they weren't given any support or help.
So roughly how many people do you think have been rescued so far through your efforts?
Well, most of that 40.
Because some of them are still deported, so we just try to help them with processing their documentations or understand how the system works.
Well,
For the ones who are here, the ones who we push to get back, probably about 10, 12. Or
well, about half. They're
Yeah.
just not all still here because they had humanitarian parole, so
Right.
some had to go
Right.
back.
Right.
right.
Okay.
So my question would be is why isn't the military stepping in and helping if you guys are veterans?
Well, in my opinion, it's because it benefits them. If you're not here, we don't have to pay you any of your pension. We don't have to pay for any of your take care of you. We don't have to pay for you to go to school. We don't have to give you any of your benefits if you're not here, in the process. So it's been a situation where it has come up several times over the last couple of decades, and they've chosen not to do anything unilaterally. But the bills that are introduced now, like the Veteran Service Recognition Act or the Veteran Visa and Protection Act, both of them provide that the military must take the responsibility to ensure that the naturalization process is meted out.
But every veteran is not looking for benefits.
This is true, but the thing is that especially some of the brothers and sisters that have been deported, when they didn't realize what they had. Because like when I got out, I didn't know what benefits I had, and I live right here, but I didn't know that I had benefits coming. So if you're not taught that, you're not looking for it. If you learn, like most that are learning that they can, for the injuries that they received while they were in the service, they can get their CMP. They're learning that, but like being out of the country, that's hard to get assessed for that. But there are people that found that out, like Consult Vets is an organization that has been able to go and get a lot of veterans that have been deported, get them their CMP.
Okay.
And that's compensation and pension for those people that were.
Compensation. Okay. Well, I always like to stress the fact that not every veteran is looking for benefits. Not every veteran has a disability claim.
Mm-hmm.
I served my time, and I never claimed anything. My attitude was, when I got out, if you let me go, if you don't bother me, I won't bother you.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
but I had different reasons, because I saw so many people coming out of the Vietnam area. I saw so many people who needed benefits, okay? And I didn't have any injuries,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So, no, why would I be claiming just because when I was very fortunate. I went in as a private, I came out as an officer, never had an injury, never needed sick call or anything. So to me, it was wrong to take any benefits. But we do need more veterans. Like you have the American Legions and those different groups. Have any of them got involved in terms of helping you with this cause?
Well, they have Washington involvement, and what I mean by that is when these bills are introduced, you'll see that they are endorsed by them, but they're not on the ground like us.
Well, with the bills that they're endorsing, do they carry the kind of relief and remedies that you need?
Yes, they do. That's like I was saying, the VSRA, the Veteran Service Recognition Act.
Okay.
Was one that actually, that of all the bills that have ever been submitted, it passed the House in December of 2023. The problem is it also died in the House in December 23 because the Senate was not prepared to
Do their part.
do their part.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
We
and
got that.
as in for the bills, that's the challenge part, because every turnaround where you have new leaders coming in, you have to bring that awareness to them. So we do this over and over and over, and it becomes it's tired. It's really tiresome for us,
Okay.
trying to teach these new leaders. Hey, do you know about deported veterans? They don't know. They promise they're going to do all this work for us. Then next election comes, they're out of office.
Well, let me just say this, because I know our clock is running on us. We got, this is 2026. It's a major midterm election year. California has a primary in June. And we got 4 members of Congress here that are Democrats. All of them been on television speaking out against ICE and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Vargas, Scott Peters, Sarah Jacobs, and Levin. And so I think it's a good time to approach them. I don't know if you had contact with any of them?
We met with Mr. Levin, Mike Levin, a few times. He's been very supportive. He plugged us into the VA as we were trying to find out different things to be able to help these veterans whenever they were able to come back. And Mr. Vargas, we're very close with them because they had introduced the Strengthening Citizenship and Service for Veterans Act in conjunction with Senator Duckworth, and that's supposed to be another bill that's supposed to come around. So we're looking to push that issue.
Well, let's just say for the record, because everybody doesn't know, Senator Tammy Duckworth, I believe she's a lieutenant colonel now. She was a helicopter pilot.
Yes, ma'am.
And she lost both of her legs,
Mhm.
okay, and so she has prosthesis. Most times she's in a wheelchair. She was also I think the first woman senator to give birth while she was in office, okay, because she had a little one. And so sometimes she would be seen in a wheelchair and sometimes she would be seen, but she is a very strong proponent of veterans.
She is a pillar.
Yeah,
Super.
because she's paid the price in terms of and she's a young woman, and she's done a lot. I mean, to go from to be a helicopter pilot, rise through the ranks, and to serve in a wartime scenario, and rise to be a lieutenant colonel that's seen combat is significant. And she's done a tremendous job in the Senate.
Well, she is my favorite out of them all. Her office is phenomenal. There are stories that a lot of people don't know that never came out, that never hit the story, because we went to her office and say there was a brother that was currently serving in Pennsylvania. They were trying to deport him while he was serving, and his command was fighting for him, and the ICE was still trying to deport him. We reached out to her office, and now he's safely here in the United States. Among many of the other stories that's done, it's just.
Well, you know, the immigration scenario has changed so much. Period. 40, almost 50 years ago, when I was on the Hill, there was a real scam going on, and people got into the country, and they were coming after you to deport you. If you had enough money to get a lawyer, to go to a member of Congress and introduce what was called a private bill.
Bills.
The private bill automatically kept you here for another 2 years, because during that Congress, the private bill meant that you were going to get a hearing, okay? And so that was automatic. And then eventually they found out that people were selling that it was quite a scam, so they had to move in on it and kind of change it. But the system has always worked for people who have money. And I guess one of our parting comments would be, we want to be sure that we can continue to share information with our community. For instance, the Haitians that were across the border, the Voice and Viewpoint was a collection point, and we collected goods and personal effects and things that was shipped over to them on a regular basis until the Russia invaded the Ukraine, and then they started bringing political refugees in from the Ukraine, who happened to be white, of course, walking them right past the Haitians who are still sitting at the border, waiting.
I have, it's crazy if right now, if we have known this, I have video that's showing that right here at the border of San Isidro.
Yeah, it was right there.
We were down there to greet one of our brothers coming back.
Right.
And there was, the Ukrainians had a tent set
Oh,
up,
yeah,
and
set
they
up
were just coming in,
coffee and
families
tea
and
and everything,
everything,
right.
you know, like this, and we were like, wow, you know, I mean, again, I don't begrudge them in stepping out from their situation. My thing is this should be unilaterally and equitably dispersed, and it's not being done that way. You know, what we're seeing is like you just saw this administration bringing a bunch of South Africans in at the beginning of last year.
And let's be clear, the South Africans they're bringing in are white. America has always sought to import whites because of the declining birth rates. And if you go back 60, 70 years ago, the people that were being brought in, the Scandinavian countries, the white European countries, always had larger quotas for admission than America. And than Africans, okay? If you go down and look at Florida, the people who were coming from Cuba were considered political refugees. The people coming from Haiti were just considered being here illegally. Some of them were being turned back while they were still floating on inner tubes, rather than bringing them here and take them back. So the racism in terms of immigration is real, and it's always been. What we hope to do, Dr. Thompson and I, as we use our media outlets, is share with our communities. If you look at the logo on the Voice and Viewpoint, it says serving San Diego's African and African American communities. And so we are very concerned, and we ask in turn that you encourage people to use our media outlets to bring us their stories, and to be supportive of what we're doing while we try to support what's being done.
Most definitely.
And so we hope, Brother James, Brother David, that we can do that. Brother David,
Yeah.
I have a special place in my heart for Kenya, because Kenya has so many struggles, and the people have never forgotten. White folks have never forgiven the revolution in Kenya. They've never forgiven Jomo Kenyatta and all that was done. Okay, and so this is real. And I remember at the height of the AIDS epidemic that Kenya declared that they had found a cure for AIDS. And I was on the phone with them at 3 o'clock in the morning, our time, discussing how this cure was going to work, while the American scientific community was saying that we tried it and it doesn't work, okay? Now, let's fast forward to a week ago, 2 weeks ago. There was a media story about how there was a global conference on AIDS, and one of the discoveries that had been made was that AIDS took different shapes in different countries. And so based on this, when the Kenyans said they found a cure, they did find a cure based on the AIDS epidemic that they had, which was different than the AIDS here. But we're just discovering 40 years later that AIDS was different in different countries, and yet it was the same disease, but it had different elements to it. Okay? And so we're here to help tell the story. And you have to write the stories and get them to us and let us know if there are meetings, let us know about the meetings so we can tell the rest of the community.
Most definitely.
And we'll make people aware. Parting thoughts, Dr. Thompson.
Well, I think that this is a very important topic. It's a topic that is not known much about of the deportation of people that have served in our military. And so I think that it's really important that we continue to push the narrative, make sure people know about it, and we'll use our platform to spread the word. And I know that you need legal help, so that means that there needs to be funding. So is there a site where people can donate to help with the funding for the legal?
Yes, we have a website, BDVA, B as in boy, D as in dog, V as in Victor, A as in Apple, .us. We have a donate button that is there, and we are contracted with Social Good as our platform, so that your donation is
Tax deductible?
yeah, tax deductible.
Okay. All right.
All right.
And just before we go, I want to make sure two things, please. One is the misnomer that will come up or can come up is that, well, they committed crimes. Not everybody that was deported or not let back in committed a crime.
No,
David never committed a crime.
Right.
All right. So if anyone comes to you saying that, you can tell them, no, that's not the only way that this happens. It's the predominant way, but it's not the only way that it happens. The other thing is, again, this is not a brown thing, it's an American thing. It's people from every different culture that is involved in here. We work with everyone, but we take a specific interest in the black deported veterans. But there are Caucasian veterans from Canada that we work with that have been deported. There are from Bosnia. There's a cat we know, Gigi, from India. They're from. There's been 53 countries have been identified to have veterans.
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Oh,
Right.
Our boy Paul Canton down in Florida, and stuff. So, yeah. So please do not look at this as what you will see sometimes in the judiciary hearings. They keep focusing on fentanyl and rapists coming over the border, and focusing the idea that immigration is just about the Mexican border. And it is, in this particular case, it is about people that have raised their hand and served to make it possible for us to live the life that we live, but are not being able to enjoy those same freedoms.
You're absolutely right.
We definitely appreciate you coming in. Dr. Warren's a worthy cause, and we're looking forward to continue to serve you on our platforms. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will continue our efforts in
Okay.
the rest of the editor right here on GODRadio1.com.
Thank you.
For 66 years, one newspaper has told our stories boldly, truthfully, and unapologetically. Join us as the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint celebrates its 66th anniversary gala on Friday, February 13th at 6 p.m. An unforgettable evening honoring legacy, leadership, and Black excellence. Celebrate distinguished honorees, community trailblazers, and a powerful live conversation you won't want to miss, featuring featuring a special talkback between publisher Dr. John E. Warren and cultural icon, entrepreneur, and author Freeway Rick Ross. This isn't just a gala. It's history, culture, and conversation in the room. Celebrate the past, engage in the present, invest in the future. The Voice and Viewpoint 66th Anniversary Gala on Friday, February the 13th, because our stories still matter. Tickets are available at eventbrite.com.
The San Diego Voice and Viewpoint newspaper is San Diego's oldest and largest African American publication. We bring you news for and about our community. Your stories matter to us. Thank you for allowing us to serve you for nearly 6 decades. Your support enables us to continue to forge ahead, informing you with news tailored to your needs. In addition to subscribing to our weekly publication, consider using Voice and Viewpoint to promote your business and events. Call us at 619-266-2233 or send an email to ads@sdvoice.info for details on how to get started. If you have advertising needs, contact us. Our prices are both fair and reasonable. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Voice and Viewpoint or visit our website at www.sdvoice.info. Remember, a people without a voice cannot be heard.
Well, we're back here on the desk of the editor, Dr. Warren. Great interview.
Well, thank you. And we want to keep these our brothers in mind, because if we don't remember our own, then who else will?
Yes.
And that's important.
Well, let's talk about what's going on in the community around the world.
We got a lot going on, Brother Thompson. The first thing I've been trying to share with people, we know about Minnesota. We know that we've had 2 murders there. We know that we've had an attempted murder in Arizona. That person injured by ICE is still in critical condition. We know that Bonvino, who was strutting around like a proud peacock in Minnesota, was sent back to El Centro, and the word on the street down there is that they're going to retire him real soon. And so, but I indicated that there's a lot that we here can learn from the people in Minnesota. And I think one of the most important things that I witnessed in the past several weeks, going back to Renee Good and including the latest victim, Brother Petty, is that the people did not let the weather stop them from uniting and protesting and being out there. They didn't let the fact that they were being pepper sprayed, that they were being attacked by ICE folks, they didn't let any of those things stop them from coming together. They didn't let those things stop them from using their whistles to alert people, going to the store for folks who were afraid to come out in terms of getting food and supplies to them. And it was a very heart-wrenching story. I think I shared it before of a young lady who came into her menstrual period and was afraid to go out, and she made phone calls, and over a period of 2 hours, about 5 different women got mobilized and went and got the supplies that she needed and got to her home to do so. And so this is very, very important, because we're out here, and I keep saying, there are people in San Diego protesting. You see protests Escondido, East Lake, down around the federal building. People are marching, and as of today, they announced that on March 28th, there's going to be a mega No King's Day rally. But in the interim, in every city that you can look at, there are people marching in protests against ICE, against what they're doing. There are also efforts underway in every city that they're trying to establish these prisons that they want to build. The people are rallying with local government to block them, block the land use, the land sales, and all those things. And so America is coming together thanks to social media like no other entity has ever united to fight authoritarianism. And yet, in the midst of what we see happening here, we cannot forget what's going on in Iran. Iran is experiencing the second biggest upheaval since the 1979 coup that toppled the Shah. and it is estimated that thousands of people have been killed there so far. The internet has been shut down. America is rushing ships to the Middle East. We're targeting bases and elements there. Iranians are flexing their muscles and saying they're going to hit in response areas where we have U.S. military personnel stationed. In the midst of that, we still have Venezuela, Marco Rubio speaking out. We still have the president having generated a lot of noise about trying to take Greenland. And then we still have the Epstein papers. And we still have the loss of affordable health care for people with rising prices and a challenge to the Federal Reserve Board that's now before the Supreme Court. And so now we know that this president is masterful and skillful in terms of creating diversionary elements, and the media bites every time, mainstream media, and they fall for it and they follow it, unfortunately. It's good that they've kept the focus on Minnesota. That's important. But why let the Epstein matter get away from us? Here we are going toward a government shutdown again. And here we are in a midterm election cycle with California having a major seat scenario in terms of East County and a congressional seat that we're trying to flip. And we got all these things going on. And locally, we have two budgets that we're looking at. The city still has a major deficit. Mm-hmm. The city's budget is just focusing on parking in Balboa Park when we got health care, which is not a city issue, it's a county issue. The county has hired its first black general counsel, county council, and it now has a black CAO and one black member. It's been a long time. Even when we had Cliff Graves here as the first black CEO, we didn't have. We had Leon on the board of supervisors where Monica sit, but we never had a black county council. Mm-hmm. And so we got a lot of things going on here, and I don't see our communities paying attention like we need to be. So what's your take, Dr. Thompson?
Well, one of the things I have that I'm going to be very watchful of is the whole thing of being so justified once we get into position. It seems like we're the only people that get in position, and when we get into position, we want to be fair to everybody at the detriment of our own people. I really want to see when people get in office that are of color, of black, African descent, that they will still represent and stand up fairly for even the African American people. Just recently, I noticed that, a horrible supervisor at one of the county operations got Supervisor of the Year. Nobody likes her, but it was the black person that promoted her or did it, playing it safe. And you look at it and say, well, you got all this talent, and yet you do this because you don't want to be seen as playing favoritism to people that look like you. And so those are the kind of things that I want to really challenge folks, that when you get into position, your job is to open up the door. I look at the San Diego Park and Rec. There is so much nepotism and so much familyism and everything else going into the Park and Rec that even if you were a black man trying to get in there, there's so many blockages because family members have taken it all up. And they don't have any shame about doing it.
Well, this has been the history of San Diego, period. People in the city, the county, people have got their relatives in jobs. And, that's one of the things that killed one of our black city managers, because he was making all kind of comments when he came here from out of town. And he didn't realize that most of the people that were in his administration were related to people that were in his administration, and they got to be a very, very real issue. And so you put your finger on a very important issue there, Dr. Thompson, that we do have all of this happening.
Yeah, and if you really look at it, the African-American people that are in power, the black people that are in power, you got Chief Nelson, I believe it is, or Chief Tamika over at probation. She's the lead. You know what I'm saying? You have the chief of fire, Chief Logan. You have the county being run. You got council. You have all these great positions headed up by African American people. My question is, but how is that benefiting in your leadership? How do we see the benefit of African American people now getting a fair shot at an opportunity at the higher level? Example, we look at Commander Kelso. They created this position knowing that he should be a assistant chief, but he keeps on getting passed over for people with less experience.
And he would never get
Yeah.
to be assistant chief. That's why they made him a commander, the only commander in the system. And, I look at Kelso, but I also look at the BPOA. Those brothers don't speak up. They don't fight up. They don't put up. And the ones who already got 20 years in the system, in the drop program, nothing can be done to stop them. The ones who are already out, they don't come back and fight for each other the way they should.
Well, see, here's the thing I'm asking, and this might be too realistic, but if we have all these people, African American people, in these power positions, why are they not able to affect change and look over at the chief of police and say, look, you're getting ready to appoint a assistant chief? This one over here better move in, because we have that much influence and power.
Well, you can't make empty threats. Remember, this chief, he's following a pattern. His father was in the police department, and we have never had the kind of strengths. I just going back to Roulette Armstead, who was the first one to make assistant chief, and she fought hard. She went through the whole program. She did the Quantico thing and everything to get there, up through the ranks, and then she got passed over. And in any other city, we would have marched, protested. I remember the time when we used to march around the police building downtown, just like Joshua went around Jericho. We don't come together and march anymore. And the people who are marching, the rest of us are looking down our nose at them when they're out there struggling, and they're representing all of us. Then we have another big loss, Dr. Thompson. I don't know how many people realize that the Legal Aid Society, Legal Services Office at Imperial
And
Euclid has closed, okay? And that's a carryover from going back in the 70s when legal services was big and we had all of these programs established that allowed people to have public defenders and the kind of representation that has been cut back. And they started whittling it, going back to Ronald Reagan and Nixon. They kept cutting. They were smart. See, they didn't eliminate the programs. They just cut the money and tightened up the requirements for participation. And that's what made the difference. Even the whole concept of Miranda and the rights that we get, being arrested, all of that came out of that period because that didn't happen before. Mm-hmm. And there are major stories behind those things. Now, Henry Foster III not only represents the 4th District where that office sits, but he's also chairman of the Budget Committee for the City Council. And I have seen no notice about the building or what's going to happen to it, yet I understand that it's being sold and the community hasn't been contacted, had anything to say. If you look at where the Live Well Center sits, years ago, before the Live Well Center was there, we had the Tubman Chavez Center. And before it was Tubman Chavez, it was a Social Security office. And when the Social Security people closed that office and moved, George Stephen, to the chagrin of some of us, he rushed and had the city buy it. I wanted the building for an office for Voice and Viewpoint. We didn't have a chance to even discuss it because he just scooped it up as another George Stephen project. And so we had efforts where the community at least benefited from that. We got a situation now, there's no discussion with our community. We don't even understand what's happening with the BID.
Can we go to that, Dr. Warren?
Sure.
That's a great concern to me, concern for a lot of us that are in businesses. That is that property is coming available within our community, and we are never notified that it's even available. City property has come available, and before anyone knows about it, it's sold to someone in LA or some other benefactor, because they're literally letting them know even before the community, and not even giving the community the opportunity to say, hey, we get 10, 15 of us together. We could buy the property to keep it in the community.
Well, this has been a long time. The city has a real estate arm, and I remember probably 30 years ago, the city of San Diego extends to San Ysidro, so it jumps over National City and Chula Vista, and it takes up to the border, which is San Ysidro is still the city. And I remember I found a building in San Ysidro that I wanted for the Voice and Viewpoint. And because I could put a printing press in it and a whole bit. At the time, Juan Vargas was a city council member, and we were struggling with the real estate arm of the city just to try and get a lease to go after the building. But we only knew about it because somebody told us, because they don't share that information. They don't publish what's available.
Yeah.
And so we're missing stuff because, but for people in our community like Ms. Francine Maxwell, who seems to stay on top of just about everything, most of us are not paying attention to all of the moving parts.
Exactly.
And that's where we miss out. And we got to learn to be concerned other than it's just for us. We got to see who else is impacted, and can we help somebody else benefit, even if we don't want it ourselves.
Yeah, and it literally says that we have to be the watchdog over
Literally.
these different spaces that they're not going to tell us. So we have to have somebody on a weekly basis going down there and say, what property is available? How's it available? What's in our community? And then how can we make sure that the community has first dibs on it?
Well, the same thing has to happen with the county.
Yeah.
Because the county makes land available, and it rents it out to people, and people get sweetheart deals. Everybody knows where Plaza Bonita is. Behind Plaza Bonita, there's a ranch, which is owned by the county, and it's known for dressage and all the expensive upkeep that people spend for horses. But what people don't know is that property, which is owned by the county, is leased on a 10 or 15 or 20-year basis to the people who rent it, and they might pay something like $2,000 a month.
Wow.
But they got a whole horse business there that's bringing in maybe $15,000, $20,000 a month, because it costs money to board, to clean, to do all of those things that are done. And the land is all over the place. The county follows the same pattern that the federal government does. The federal government would then has a Bureau of Land Management. And we got all these big ranches in Wyoming and Montana and places where we see cattle grazing and horses and stuff. And that land has been leased from the government by people for maybe $100 over a 20-year period. You go down to Florida, we have the same thing happening. When you drink Donald Duck orange juice, the guy who owns Donald Duck leases the land, or he did lease some of the land for Donald Duck from Bureau of Land Management. And Florida, South Central Florida, is known both for oranges and cattle. Same thing. So it's welfare for the rich. But when it comes to us benefiting and trying to use the system, all of a sudden we are welfare dependent and we get a bad name.
Yeah, and I do understand that. And so we have to just be more vigilant in making sure that we do the things that we do to continue to keep the word out there. Let's talk about the gala right quick.
Well, the gala is coming February 13th. We're about 2.5 weeks away. We're almost sold out. We keep telling people every year we're going to sell out, and they wait till the last minute. There will be no at-the-door sales. There will be no sales after February 6th. That's when we shut down. That's the last point that we have to make adjustments in terms of adding tables and food and the whole bit, which has to be done a week in advance. And so right now we are up there with numbers. It's just a few individual seats. Probably the easiest way to get in at this point is for a person or a group of people to buy a table. And if you buy a table, then it's easier to put a table, because we certainly won't be trying to add individual seats where we don't have individual seats left. And so it's at the Liberty Station Conference Center, Friday the 13th. Don't let the numbers fool you. We're not superstitious. It starts at 6 o'clock. We're going to have this phenomenal discussion between myself and Freeway Ricky Ross, which goes back to some of the history of what the paper has done because we're highlighting our past achievements. We're excited. Uh, Mandate is handling all of our sound. Dr. Thompson's doing a phenomenal job like each year he does, and he puts it up on the YouTube right afterwards. And we are working hard to get ready for this event.
Well, Dr. Warren, I tell you, lots going on in our community. Our encouragement to everybody, one, get your tickets. The tickets are almost sold out, and so we want to make sure that you get your tickets now. We literally have 40 tables for this event, 40 tables for this event, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen, there's only about 8 tables left. That means 80 more seats, and we'll be done. That means that this week, this is kind of like the crunch week. Everybody's pushing and getting their tables in, and people are walking in and say, oh, I got my table, I got my table. So I want to make sure that you come out. It is going to be second to none. We're going to be celebrating some amazing people, and we want you to be a part of it. So we want to encourage you to put on your, I won't say your Sunday best, but put on your best after 5, and let's look amazing.
Well, let's say something quickly about that because even though we've advertised this as black tie and formal, it's on a Friday, which means some people will be coming from work, sponsors and individuals, and so we're relaxing the formal tuxedo rule because people are coming from work to the event. But I still expect every male to come in there to have a necktie on in terms of respect. This is not happy hour. And so if you come marching up there with your shirt open and everything like you're going to have a cocktail, we'll just have to show you out the door. But I think that you will enjoy it. The tickets are $95 plus whatever taxes that go with it. Cheapest event in town. Nobody's having anything under $150. And we have some phenomenal sponsors, and we have some outstanding people in the community that we're recognizing.
Yes, Dr. Warren. And with that being said, this is from the desk of the editor right here on GODRadio1.com. Y'all have a blessed, blessed evening.